If I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we. You're not here, you missing out. Is this show?
We Love Wrestling Spotlight. I'm Terry with Danielle from the Pretty Hills. Today I'm sitting down with somebody who everybody should know if you love wrestling. I am with the man behind the Black Wrestling Alliance. So I don't know him. I'm going to let him introduce himself to you.
That's amazing. My name is Adrian. Go by A Dazzle as well. And I'm the man, I guess, behind Black Wrestling Alliance from Birmingham, England. Some people don't know that. Some people do. So we'll just make it clear that I am from the UK. I'm very proud to and honoured to be sitting with you guys to talk about whatever it is that we're going to be talking about. Let's do it.
Hey, I got to call you A Dazzle because I do it for the culture.
That's fine by me. That's cool, man.
All right. I'm gonna go by Trade E in this interview then. So A Dazzle. Can you tell me, I see all your posting, you do so much work in it. What made you love wrestling to even start this up?
Wow. To go to my backstory of my love of wrestling, my earliest memory of watching wrestling was when I was about 8 years old, on a Saturday afternoon watching WCW with my dad.
Hey, okay.
Yeah, man, back in the day. So we had, I remember watching like Z-Man, Barbarian, Johnny B. Bad, later Mark Merrill. So guys like that. So then after a while, I found a few friends like at school that would watch it as well. And that's where it kind of, I continued watching it while others kind of dropped off.
Right.
And I guess after a while, I started to understand the business itself and not just what we watched on TV. And that in itself began to fascinate me even more than what we saw on TV. So that's what it was. In terms of the page, Black Wrestling Alliance page itself, that started almost 3 years ago now. In July, it'll be 3 years. That kind of came in a weird way, kind of not planned in a sense. It was basically maybe about 5 years ago. Sorry, the cat. About 5 years ago, I guess I maybe began to be a bit more aware of my blackness, if I'm completely honest. Tried to be a little bit more forward about it, tried to be a bit more vocal about it and stuff like that. And that also came with me kind of being a lot less quiet about my love for wrestling as well. So just through my own personal Instagram page, I started looking for black wrestlers. After a while, after kind of seeing how there were certain people that had like news pages, I think there was Wrestle Page, Curbside Hero, pages like that would just kind of just splurt out wrestling news and stuff like that. And I saw the amount of followers that they had, like 50,000, 25,000, stuff like that. I'm thinking, I could do this. But I had to find a different way to do it. I had to find something different, not just do the same news. So I guess it kind of just sparked in my head. I'm finding all these new black wrestlers. Let me kind of do a page where I'm searching for these black wrestlers. As I find them, I'm going to post about them and talk about them. Whatever information I'm finding out about them, I'm going to put it out there. So that's how the page started. After about maybe 3 to 6 months of doing that, people were then hitting me up, like, post me on your page, or I've just done this, and I was in this match, and I did this. And I was like, okay, something's going on here. Mm-hmm. So also as well, with the way the page looks, that's a big thing to me as well, because my background in terms of like my career and the work that I do is graphic design and branding. So that was a massive thing to me as well. So while as it gained some kind of, traction and stuff like that, I'm like, this needs a proper look now. So that's where it all came from. And then news like as I said, with people sending me different things and telling me about stuff, and that's how it kind of all happened. And 3 years later, I guess I'm here. I think the one big thing that kind of I'd use the phrase "put me on the map" was probably about 2 years ago. At the start of 2018, one of the followers that I had hit me up and was like, "Oh, I think you should do something for Black History Month."
Yes.
It was a guy who on Instagram goes by the Hell of a Kid. He's a big Sami Zayn fan, young black guy. I think he's probably only like 21 now. He hit me up. He's like, "You should do something for Black History Month." And he saw, the amount of kind of information I would put in my posts and stuff like that. And he was like, let's create a list of 28 great black wrestlers, and let's post them every single day. So I'm like, hold on, you want me to do that? And so he was like, no, I'll find I'll create the list and stuff and give you some of the information, and obviously you just put your spin on it and stuff like that. So it was from that, and then that just kind of blew the page up. That's when I hit I think I gained like almost 1,000 followers in that 1 month alone. And then from there, it's risen from there, and yeah, man, we're where we are now.
It's a great page to look at.
It is.
I was telling them earlier, I looked at the page and I was like, oh, okay, I need to actually get updates when he posts these black wrestlers, because you're in UK. So I'm in Indiana, and I don't see that many black wrestlers where I am. And when I watch UK wrestling, what's the black wrestling scene over there?
Whew. It's interesting. I'm gonna use that word. It's actually, going all the way back to the origin of the page as well. Actually, one of the things that I wanted to do was also kind of raise either an awareness or a fan base of black wrestling fans in the UK. I tried to do that, and it wasn't happening. It literally just wasn't happening. The fans were kind of, non-existent. At the time, I probably only knew about maybe 3 to 4 wrestlers that were black in the UK. So generally, to answer the question, the UK scene for black wrestlers is quite scarce, to be honest. Over the 3 years, I've made some amazing connections with a lot of guys now. And back in October, because October is Black History Month in the UK.
Okay.
So back in October last year, we were able to actually put together the first ever kind of all ethnic. It wasn't all black because there were 2 guys who were of Asian background, but it was an all ethnic wrestling card, the first ever in the UK in history. And that was just in October gone. That was done with, maybe 20 to 25 wrestlers.
Okay.
And it's amazing to think that we had that many and still had others that weren't involved that could have easily been involved. And all of those wrestlers as well are people who probably could be on any show, either WWE, AEW, Impact, any show you can think of, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So
in terms of a fan base, like there's kind of not a lot. So if I would go to a show, I'm probably one of, sometimes the only black person there. And I think I've never seen more than 6 black people at a show before.
Wow.
Ever?
Even at that show, which was an all black show, there were about, that was probably where the 6 were. Yeah. And that was a sold out show.
Wow.
But that doesn't stop you, because you got this love for wrestling. You said about 5 years ago you started speaking out about your blackness and wrestling. So do you have friends now who are trying to get back into the scene? Is it bringing more people of color to watch wrestling over in the UK for you?
Good question. I've had a few. I've had a few friends who I've kind of connected with, who I've been friends with for a long time, but had no idea they like wrestling. One of my best friends kind of seen how successful the page has been, and kind of tried to support me and started watching wrestling as well, so we could have our, conversations, and he could kind of be part of the conversation and stuff like that, which was amazing. But again, it's still not a lot, but at the same time, just the simple fact that, it's probably 4 to 5 guys, over time, within my close network that, have kind of joined me, kind of gone to like viewing parties, like watched Royal Rumble. I do that almost every year with a few friends, and WrestleMania I've done twice as well.
So all the content you have, you said your friend, are you doing all of this by yourself, or do you have because when I see your post, I'm like, these are very well-researched posts, people who we'll never hear about. So are you doing all this yourself, or do you have a team that's trying to help you?
Literally, I'm a one-man band, literally, from start to finish. I mean, it's kind of died down just a little bit at the moment, but I do have a few followers who unofficially kind of send me news, or will hit me up and say, have you seen this, or ask me about my my opinion on something. And sometimes when they do, I didn't know about it until they've asked me about it. So that does happen as well. So in an official sense, I'm definitely on my own. In a non-official sense, I do have quite a few people who would, hit me up every now and again, or as I said, sometimes it's wrestlers themselves that will ask me to post about something that they've done or that's coming up and stuff like that. So I've built a lot of relationships with wrestlers, like in that respect. So that's helped massively.
So I've seen all your list. I just have to ask for a personal question myself. Can you name maybe 5 wrestlers right now?
Yep.
That we should be looking into that we do not know?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? To be honest, I actually did this recently for someone else. I don't know if you know. I'm sure you probably would actually know about the Black Wrestling Podcast.
Okay. Those are my friends.
So we talk often. To be honest, as well, actually, they were a massive influence in the page starting up as well. At the time when I started the page, they were probably one of the only pages who I spotted, at least anyway, who were unapologetically black wrestling fans.
Absolutely.
Definitely at the time. It's massive. There's a massive change now. There's a lot more people who are on it. So 5 names. First one, you guys will probably know, seeing as you're kind of from the New York area. Or
she is.
I am. Yeah, Terry's from Indiana.
So Tyree Taylor.
Yes.
Oh,
I think
my.
Part of Prolific.
Prolific.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I think he's absolutely amazing. So much promise. So much promise. Tyree Taylor's a massive one for me. The other one is, and I never know whether I say this properly, but Yaya.
Yaya, big
Yes.
Yaya.
Massive fan of his.
I was with Yaya on Sunday.
Yeah, brilliant, amazing. Yeah, like massive fan of his. Again, a big guy that can move like a cruiserweight man, but he's still got the power game as well. It's
right.
Crazy. I'm a massive fan of Christian Casanova.
Okay.
Yes.
I know Christian Casanova.
I know him. Yeah.
Massive fan of Christian Casanova. I think very similar to Chris Bay. I think he should be in a very similar position to Chris Bay. So Chris Bay obviously been signed to Impact recently and stuff like that and doing well. Before obviously the whole Corona madness. Casanova was, appearing for ROH and, started appearing for ROH quite often as well. So he's another one. Ladies, I think we will all know her, but I think a lot more people need to know her. Savannah Evans.
Savannah.
Because I'm now getting frustrated on how overlooked she really is.
Yes.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
Yes.
I'm a massive fan of Savannah Evans.
I was with Savannah on Sunday too. We actually interviewed Savannah last week.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, Savannah Evans, massive fan of hers. Gosh, it's difficult to pick. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna pick someone from the UK because obviously not a lot of people in the US know of many of the UK stars. I got another lady actually. Yeah, Mercedes Blaze.
Okay.
Yes.
Mercedes Blaze. She has only been wrestling, I think it's about 3 years. Appeared for Progress just before the end of last year. Had a tryout with WWE in the UK. Has appeared for NXT UK kind of a couple of times. But yeah, she's another one with massive promise. Learning very quickly and doing a lot of things.
You named
So that is the 5.
maybe was 3 wrestlers who two of them I've just been informed of, but Savannah Evans, she's like in my top 5, and I don't understand why she's not getting the push that she deserves right now. So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this with the state of wrestling going on right now, on Twitter and speaking out, and what's coming out over from the UK scene. How do you feel about that? I mean, it's a horrible thing, but it seems like it's like an avalanche right now. Things coming out.
Yeah. Very true. I only posted about it today.
Yeah, I just read the post.
Yeah, it took me a while to really get my head around it in terms of how I would approach it. Because at first, of course, you know, all the revelations were coming out and stuff like that, and it was a lot of UK wrestlers, you know, white UK wrestlers, and I was kind of just like hoping that none of our people were involved in any way. On the whole, I'm glad it's not many, but there were a few that kind of came out. So I was like, okay, let's see how we approach this. But at the same time, even if it wasn't, I feel eventually I would have had to kind of make some type of, you know, either post reaction or some kind of, you know, say something about it, because it's not something that we can really kind of blow over. On a whole, it's devastating to hear so much stuff at one time. If I'm completely honest, I think I knew that there was some, you know, that level of what over here we call lad culture, where, you know, there are certain guys that may get up to certain things, and because, you know, the lads are, you know, your boys basically, and you know, they've got this weird culture of, if I do something and I tell you about it, you can't tell no one, and things like that. And you know, and I think we've seen with some of the videos that have come out with David Starr, just sad and sickening. But you know, I think it was something that quite a few people knew happened. But again, because of the way things are, the reason why some of these ladies haven't spoken out was out of fear, out of fear of being, you know, being rejected, not being able to progress in their wrestling dreams and stuff like that, and just being ridiculed in general. You know what I mean? Not being believed, maybe, stuff like that. So eventually, all had to come out. It had to come out eventually, and you know, in the way that it has, it may be devastating, but I'm not surprised necessarily. And at the same time, with it also coming very close to, you know, the Black Lives Matter and the racial movement and stuff like that, I think it's something that especially the UK wrestling scene definitely needed. Because I've seen, you know, just over the last 2 days more than anything, the conversations that have been happening, and the change in management, and the change in, you know, trying to change policies, and the conversations that are going on. And it's sad to think that it's only now that these conversations are happening. I've said to a few friends and a few people that I've spoken to about it as well, that it's crazy that the wrestling business in general is very different to your normal 9 to 5
type of job where policies are in place and safeguarding is in place, and it's all part of the business. You couldn't really do those type of things without thinking that it's going to be,
some reason in wrestling, it wasn't there. So people have been able to get away with all this stuff for so long, thinking that they can, because unfortunately they can. So it's great to see that a lot of companies now are having to think about all these things, and including, racial issues, homophobic issues, again, safeguarding, and just gender equality and all that as well.
Black Wrestling Alliance, do you ever have wrestlers who are upset that you haven't posted about them or anything? So, hey, I just won the thing.
All,
hey, you ain't say
all
nothing.
the time. All the time. Not ridiculously often, not often, but it definitely does happen. I've had a few. There are one or two who will constantly, almost every day, but every single week, let me, post it or send me a DM about what they've done or any picture and stuff like that, and that's cool, and it's fine. And I don't want this to sound bad, but I have to be very true to what the page is. But I try to, as much as I'm all about putting our people out there and trying to highlight people that we don't know, I'm also very much about making sure it's of excellence as well.
Oh, there it is.
So sometimes there was actually, let's go to this one incident. There was this one incident where I think I must have posted about something, and someone's messaged me. I think I used to do a post every week about the newest Black champions and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't always know everything. Again, it's what people send me, what I come across, and stuff like that. So there was a post that I did, Black champions, posted a few guys, and then someone messaged me like, "Oh, what about me?" I'm like, I don't follow them, never heard of them. I don't know the company that they're champion at and stuff like that. So I've looked and, I've responded and I've said those things. Didn't know, you were wrestling and stuff like that, and in the most respectful way I could. And I then get another message from a friend of theirs saying the same thing. I'm like, hold on, I'm being ganged up on here by two random people. What's going on? So I've again responded, and then I'll just get in this barrage of, blah 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 blah. I'm this champion. I've been this champion for however long, and blah blah. I'm like, I've never heard of your company in my life. So to think that I should be posting you over, say, Chris Bay, who's got 3 championships in Nevada, Vegas, obviously same place, Nevada, California, and a third state, for someone who's I can't even remember where they were, but we've been a champion in this small company for like 5 months. I'm just like, what? So those types of things do happen. But yeah, so it's crazy. It's crazy how some people are in their own bubble. So they're doing great in this little small, school gym promotion, I guess is the best way to put it. And feel as though they should be on this, put on the same level as, again, I'd use Chris Bay so often, but Chris Bay, who's just been signed with Impact and doing other things before that as well. So it also kind of shows you, just in general, the lack of awareness that we have for other things outside of our states, outside of our countries, in terms of our Black wrestlers. So I guess that's part of what I'm also trying to do as well, is just raise an awareness of, that we are here, that we're doing this, that, and we all need to know about each other. Absolutely. And try and promote each other as best as possible, basically. And
showcase each other's excellence, because I like it really just like highlighting and showcasing the journey up to the excellence, right? And then not just the excellence, but saying, hey, this is what they've climbed to get to where they are. Because I mean, Chris Bay has a very impressive independent run, saying before he got to Impact.
Right.
Impact is I don't want to say the pinnacle, because clearly there's always room to grow higher, especially as being a person of color. But he's really now put on a national watch list, because now more people have access to him, whereas us who would go to the shows, would just be privy to him. So Terry, can I have the last question?
You got it.
So
Ladies,
I appreciate it. So like I said, again, this is an honor to speak to you. I'm a big fan of your site, and I look to it almost like a Black Wrestling CNN. Like,
there it is, a Black Wrestling CNN.
It is because at this day, like, let's be very candid and frank about what's going on right now. Like,
yeah, of course.
I don't want to just see, he said and she said. I kind of want candid information, and I love wrestling. So I want to know more about some wrestlers that I don't know about. You know what I'm saying? And I want to know what they're doing, and I want to know, what's the population like in UK of Black, that type of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
With that said, like, what is the future? What do you foresee, right? Nice. As the future of Black Wrestling Alliance?
You said about, the page being like the Black CNN, Black Wrestling CNN. If I'm completely honest, I mean, that's not far from what I'm trying to do, if I'm completely honest. And in a way, I already feel as if that's the responsibility that I already have. Whether that's put on by myself, whether that's the expectancy of the followers and stuff like that. I get very weary of being a little bit maybe too big-headed, or a little bit too egotistic about where the page is.
Be big-headed.
At the same time, it's, and I think this is a little bit unfortunate, but at the same time, it's the page of the magnitude that it is at the moment, at least on Instagram, at least anyway. So yeah, I feel as if I've got a massive responsibility in terms of a future. Again, it's still trying to not necessarily be all things to all men, but at the same time, try to stay up there, keep the excellence, keep the levels to the highest standard possible. So when people see the page, it's not a kind of like a roll eyes, some black guy talking about wrestlers. Like, there's been many times, and it hasn't happened for a very long time, but many times in the past where I've had white people or non-black people jump on the page, kind of questioning, what's this? And, maybe I should start a White Wrestling Alliance page and blah, blah, blah. And after explaining to them what it's about, what I'm trying to do, also showing them the content and stuff like that, they're like, oh, okay. And they've got nothing more to say. So for me, that's what it is. It's about making sure that everything that goes on that page, from the wrestlers to the news to to just the information in general, to the history that I get to share as well, is of excellence. If that then leads me on to, for example, one of my goals is to, in the next 3 to 4 years, spend like about at least 6 months in the US. I'm at a massive disadvantage being where I am. A massive disadvantage being where I am. So I feel I need to kind of be in the US for 6 months. What that entails, where I go, I have no idea. But that's one of the things I want to do, to create even more kind of direct connections with, with companies, people, get some experience, maybe either doing some broadcast stuff, whether that be commentary, maybe that be, backstage type things, anything really, because as I've said, my background is branding and media and stuff like that as well. So to get that type of experience within wrestling as well, is a massive goal for me. And I think I tried to do that over here as well in the UK, but again, it's kind of, there's not really a door open for any black person really to step into. That may have changed in the last week or so, possibly, but we'll see. I've not had no one hit me up yet.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, when you get here, let me tell you, you're probably gonna have fist fights to be like, no, stay with me, because they're gonna want to make sure to show you around, where they're from. It's believe it or not, the wrestling community is huge, but the wrestling community of color is big too, but it's small. And what we try to do is kind of, connect each other, embrace each other. So
yeah. And even being here, I've felt that massively. I mean, for a very long time, and I think even yourself when you messaged me last week, I don't think you even realised that I was from the UK. A lot of people thought I was from New York.
Yeah.
For a very long time.
Danilo actually told me you were from the UK because I had no clue.
Yeah, and I think it was a lot to do with my connections with those guys as well, because we kind of formed a good friendship quite early on in my page and stuff like that. And it's crazy, looking at my stats in terms of my followers and stuff. 75% of my following is US, and the highest number of people from one city is New York at 6%.
Wow. 6%
of my following is New York, and the closest to that is, I think it's Philly or Atlanta at 2%.
Okay.
So it's kind of, within a very similar area, isn't it, of the US. So yeah, to go over there in that little area is definitely a goal.
Definitely. You'll be welcome with open arms in either New York or Atlanta, believe that. Philly too. Philly's kind of it's closer to New York, so you can kind of commute if you had to. But Atlanta is a really poppin', wrestling area, and as you know, Florida is right now it's the god of, it's the MSG of wrestling right now.
Yeah. It's Mecca. I mean, so yeah, for sure. So yeah, there's definitely a few places I definitely need to go, and I know I can make it happen if I just find the money and the opportunity to just get over there.
If you do come, let me know. I travel. I will make sure I make the trip to assist with anything. Well, that was the last question, Danielle. Anything else?
I'm just a little bit starstruck. You don't understand, your site, because it's not. Because I love wrestling, right? I'm gonna say that over and over because that's what this is, right? I love wrestling. I long for maybe not so objective content, right? I want to know,
right.
What's going on. Oh yeah, he hasn't had a title run in a while. You understand what I'm saying? Not negating their personal lives, but at the end of the day, I'm a fan first and foremost, right? So even though I've been watching wrestling since I was 5 and I'm older now, I'm only 6, right? I'm still it's still real to me,
Right.
What's going on with him? Oh, I'm all about, me and a couple of other friends over the weekend, we were saying we're all about the vignettes and the promos and the storyline. I love wrestling. I want to see that. So your site and your postings help, for the lack of better words, keep kayfabe, right? So we're just really
right.
knowing about the wrestler, knowing about their achievements, their accolades. So my question is, I'm oh yeah, I kind of just want to sit back and listen. I'm just super appreciative.
One thing I was going to say about the content, and another reason why I've struggled maybe in the last, to be honest, during this whole lockdown and the COVID season, I guess, is trying to make sure that I'm not posting all this bad news, just bad news. And it's been very, very difficult. The only thing I've been able to be on top of, I guess, really is obviously what's going on TV. So I do my, WWE review and AEW, and now started my Impact review and stuff. But when it comes to news, it's always been very negative in general. And I try not to. You'll probably notice with the last post about the whole speaking out. I've not gone down the route of naming and shaming and naming every single person that's been accused and stuff like that. And I just really don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I couldn't avoid it, so I had to say something. But yeah, it's trying to still keep it ethical. It's trying to still keep, because I could have gone into the details of some of the stories. I think it's Ariella Nix and Aaliyah James and a few other people, a few other ladies that have been through whatever. And I know the details, and I could have put it out there and could have given you screenshots of all their tweets and all that type of stuff. But I was just like, if people really want to know that part of it, they can go and find that themselves. It's there. It's on Twitter. It's all public and whatever. I don't really want to be using that as almost a clickbait.
Yes.
I want to stay away from kind of being that. And at a point, I almost did that without really noticing. But I think I got to a point I was like, actually, okay, I'm kind of seeing how this may look. And try to, just basically try to be a bit more ethical, but still be very real about what's going on, but yet still be very ethical and not be kind of, this happened and that happened and this is the detail of stuff and do that. So yeah, try not to do that.
Well, we appreciate you because that I'm taking a break from Twitter because of that, but
right.
I don't have to totally get off of everything. I can kind of stay on other platforms and or media outlets and just still be a fan, because I don't want to totally give up on wrestling. There's some other things going on, but thank you again for your site because it continues to highlight those things. And what you did was you did speak on what's going on, but you also highlighted something that is not getting as much attention as it should get, which is the signing of the young lady. And me and Terry actually were talking about it, right, Terry, before you came on.
Signing of who?
Of
Aaliyah James.
Yeah.
Oh yes, she just got named as the
part of management for the event that she has been a part of since last November. So she's been speaking out about the tragedy that she experienced and stuff, and so in a way to obviously tackle and address the issues that have been going on. I think it's both racial and a gender thing as well. That she's been added to the management of, I think, what's it called? It's got a very weird name. Schadenfreude or something like that, some kind of German name. The whole event in itself is kind of like a almost like a wrestling stroke comedy show. It happens on about once every 3 months.
Okay.
So it's very, very popular over here. Very, very popular over here. But yeah,
I mean, that's something now that we can tap into, right? We wouldn't ordinarily know about.
For sure.
Your site,
because you definitely your post put me on Aaliyah James, and I was able to find some of her matches.
Amazing woman.
So we was talking about her and also Robin Reed because she had got hit as the talent for 2 different companies. So we was talking about that before you came on. Shout out to Robin Reed. Let's see, Danielle, if that's all your questions.
Yes.
I just want to say, as a person who has an Instagram, I don't, I just post wrestling for the love and try to do it because I have a busy schedule. And I started about 5 years ago like you. And I'm telling you, when you reposted my video, that was like my first look to get to know you. But then I was like, oh, this is unapologetically black and I love it. And I just started following, and on Facebook, I put it into groups like, if y'all don't know this, y'all need to follow him right now. So like Danielle said earlier, we just doing this for our love of wrestling, and our part is trying to just put a spotlight on the people of culture, show some love out here to those people. And I appreciate you for even taking this time to talk to us.
Absolutely.
No, man, I appreciate you guys for thinking of talking to me and it's nice.
Hey, nice. Dazzle, it's been great. Let's see. Like I always say, this the We Love Wrestling Spotlight. If I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling.
That's right.
It's too sweet for the culture.
For more information, go to WeLoveWrestling.com.